military signs and climb on there that say
And
genocide.
you saw me
Genocide.
once you come down, right?
No, it wasn't until you noticed that I was filming.
Absolutely not.
This is nonsense. What colonialism?
Thank you everyone
You
for
know,
choosing
if
to
it was
join
for
this
him, he wouldn't
event.
even be here. What the
If you
hell?
haven't left around yet, you are invited to check
back
in
to
at
your-
our
on your
table,
side.
grab some
Go ahead.
suggestions
Go on your side.
that we hope will deepen today's
Go
conversation.
ahead.
We'll
This
give
is-
you an
this-
Conan
opportunity.
and Zane are liars.
That's a lie.
Okay? They are not historians, and that is where you learned from.
That will
Read
deepen
Latino's
today's
author,
conversation and
Raphael
give you an
Ortiz.
opportunity to take action to support
No,
those
I don't.
affected by
I have a right to speak.
colonization and the
This is
genocide.
disgusting.
It's a lie.
The genocide is often
It's a lie.
accompanied with. We
It's a
also
lie.
have some
You wouldn't
artwork
even
for
be
you to
here
take
if it wasn't
in.
for him.
Oh,
It's
from
a
what?
lie.
From 1539 after he was dead?
Study your history.
To illustrate the conquest we're going to
He
cover,
was dead. It was
based
not
off
him.
first-hand historical evidence and were created to accompany the translation of the eyewitness account of
Lie.
Friar
I protest.
Bartolome de las Casas.
That's a
And who
lie.
got Las Casas? That's a
An
lie.
alternative
That's a lie.
definition to replace this monument. We're here to
Phony,
protest.
fake,
I
fraud,
hope you
lies.
stay to the end so we can take a group photo.
That's a lie. That's a
Because
lie. That's
this
a
is a
lie.
protest. I'm expecting us to respect one another. The
I'm
usual
protesting.
rules of
Don't
keeping
strike
the
me.
sidewalk clear.
Everything your way.
For pedestrians is important and working towards non-violent de-escalation if we encounter any
Statue ain't coming
hecklers.
down. You're wasting your time.
Many of
Hecklers,
us have
not
been
under
taught
the-
to
not under the-
recognize that
We
this
can let you racists take
is
that down.
Columbus Day.
Okay?
Over the years,
Yes, we were.
we've witnessed
That's-
this
It
was
holiday
posted
receive
all over
reasonable
invited.
criticism over its
Anti-Italianism
distortion
doesn't belong
in
here.
hopes it would reflect an accurate history and consider how our past, our present, and our future
You're all
are
bigots.
burdened by these
Anti-Italian
falsehoods.
bigots.
As a result, some people have chosen to recognize today as Indigenous Day.
Bullshit.
Indigenous
They have a
Peoples
whole
Day.
month of November.
In Mexico,
Okay.
the
Native
12th of
Americans
October,
were from,
month.
they're from
And a
Eastern
day.
Asia.
Okay,
Native
and you
Americans.
also have
Why don't you
August.
say that? Tell them that. They're from Eastern Asia, the Native Americans. They're not indigenous to here. Know your facts.
okay, all I'm
You're
asking
gonna
is
lie.
the respect
You're
to
gonna
be
lie.
able to speak.
I'm
If you can't do
protesting.
it,
I can protest.
yes, please keep your distance.
No, these
so
are
that
not.
you don't
I don't even have a
But you are
bullhorn,
more than
and you're yelling
welcome.
at me.
I understand, but you're
Okay.
approaching in a
You
very
don't have
aggressive
to-
way,
oh
and
my
that's not
gosh.
respectful.
Yeah.
So, as I was saying,
Lie.
some people have chosen to
Native
recognize
Americans
today
are from
as
Eastern
Indigenous Peoples Day.
Asia. Lie. They're not indigenous.
In
Lie.
Mexico, the 12th of October is called the Day
That's
of the
a lie.
Raza.
And what is
Or
the month
the
of
Day
November?
of the
Can you
race, the
answer
white
that,
race
please?
as it
What
now
about
exists of
August?
Spanish,
There are 2
Spanish,
days on the
and African
calendar
blood.
and a whole month.
In Uruguay, the indigenous population
Uruguay.
commemorates October 11th, 1492 as their last day of freedom. These are regions that were directly impacted
Columbus
by
never
the actions
owned a
that
slave.
were introduced by Columbus.
He brought
and his
Native
men.
Americans
Not
back to
right.
Spain,
Landed in the
had
Blue
them
Came with
baptized,
John the Black,
and
who was a
adopted
free
one of the
man.
natives.
This is an
That's how
example.
prejudiced he was.
This is an
Lie.
example of the
Know your
aggression
facts.
we don't want to
Know your
have here.
facts. Lie.
What are you
Know
telling
your
us? We
facts.
don't
Are
know.
the
They don't
regions
know
that
this,
were
right? They
directly
know what you're going to
impacted
say.
by the actions that were introduced by Columbus and
They
his
know
men
what they're
who
talking about.
landed
to be
in the
quiet.
Caribbean.
Like,
The
Lie.
United
go into a
States,
fight.
Colorado was
No,
the
because
first
they-
state to
they're
make
doing
Columbus
this
Day an
story.
official holiday.
So what?
And in
Same way.
Good for
2020,
them.
Colorado
Good
stopped
for
honoring
them.
Columbus Day.
He's
but
an
like
American
us
hero.
here, because like us here,
Anti-Italianism is not
they wanted
correct.
to find a way
You're a
to
bigot.
uplift Italian Americans,
You're
so
a
they
bigot.
voted to replace it with a holiday honoring Mother Frances Xavier Carini. This made history as
Under
it
the
was
14th
also marked
Amendment, you don't tell
as
me
the
who
We don't
first
know
national
history.
holiday to ever honor a woman nationally, recognized as a national hero.
Talk to the consulate. Talk to the consulate.
Considering Columbus never stepped foot in the United States, it's critical to understand how he became the association
It is
to Italian American
for you to
culture.
understand.
Lie.
In
Here to bring it
1492,
back.
it was the
Anti-Italian
continent.
Anti-Italian
Italian
bigot.
Americans
You're
were
a
immigrants
racist.
in the
Anti-Italian
U.S.
American
They had
bigot.
darker
You can't
skin than
even
people whose
translate it
ancestors
You racist.
came from
Go
northern
home. What are you
Harrison
saying? He was
called
dead.
for a
I don't wanna
national
listen.
observance
It's
of
all
Columbus
bull
Day
crap. I don't
as
wanna
his
listen.
way to court Italian-American voters
It was
and
because we were
improve
gonna
the
go to
strained
war.
relationship with
Italy
Italy's
was going to
leaders.
go to
They
war
are very upset by
because
the
of the
mass
treatment
lynching
of
of 11
Italians.
Italian-Americans in New
That's
Orleans
why we
in
protected cliffs.
1891. Some people thought the way to resolve the anti-Italian immigrant
Anti-Italian
was to
bigots
uplift
are
the
right
hero
here.
from Italy, and so Columbus was chosen.
Anti-Italian bigot.
Italian Americans who be fighting discrimination hope that the nation
Anti-Italian
honors
bigot.
Columbus would realize that its empire is
Anti-Italian bigot.
Italy,
Racist.
and so they deserve respect and acceptance.
That's right, leave our
Hardly
Anti-Italian
that a
bigot.
figure like Columbus could so neatly nestle his way into American culture when our country also
Anti-Italian
has
bigot.
a history of slavery and
Bigots from
violent
Bloomfield.
imperialistic tendencies.
It's not
Logically,
true.
in 1934,
Read his
President
writing.
FDR
Dead
made
already.
Columbus Day
Where
a
you
national
going?
holiday. And in
Anti-Italian
1971, Congress
Anti-Italian bigot.
Let's not make things worse. Okay? Let's leave this here.
Get
They're
your
already
facts
yelling,
straight
and
with
you're
that
going to make them even more
bullhorn.
mad, and then we're just
I
going
can
to
say anything I want. I'm protesting.
Okay?
Anti-Italian bigot. That's what they are. That's why you're here. That's why you're a hater. That's why you're here. Anti-Italian, anti-history bigot.
It's disgusting.
So Congress stated that Columbus Day would be a
Anti-Italian
holiday
bigot.
observed on the second Monday of October annually. It's important to note
Anti-Italian
that
racist.
the members of the mob who committed the lynching in 1891, despite being well known in their community, were never arrested or prosecuted. I understand the level of desperation Italian Americans
In Bloomfield.
must have been under to seek out any form of acceptance then. Under the threat of extreme racism and xenophobia, understandably, any form of appeasement by our government was a step towards being treated like fellow human beings. A gesture, I will remind you, Columbus denied the Tainos of the Caribbean.
Anti-Italian bigot.
But to continue elevating it with the information we all have access to now is counterintuitive and cheapens the culture by shape-shifting it so it can align itself with the very acts of aggression Italian Americans sought protection
Anti-Italian
from.
bigots in Bloomfield.
Cherry-picking and distorting the history of Columbus may have successfully gained
You're
Italian
distorted.
favor
Your
with
history
the
is
dominant group
distorted.
in the U.S., but it
Anti-American
seeks approval for the inhumane treatment of people to be justified as a necessary means that's doomed to be replicated because it's not being denounced.
Lies.
When we elevate cruel figures, we risk cruel
Who's a
outcomes
bigot? We're
being
bigots?
repeated.
Are you saying we're bigots?
When we
What
elevate
a
cruel
lie.
figures,
Anti-Italian bigot.
when we elevate cruel figures,
Who's the
we risk
anti-American?
cruel outcomes
Anti-Italian
being
bigots.
repeated. This is the reason Germany refuses to
You've
raise up
got no
any
reason to be
monument of
here.
Hitler.
You
What I
anti-Italian
find
bigot.
most shocking with this decision is that Italy is not short of the number of influential
Yay,
talented
Italy!
figures that could better
Italy!
say
Yeah.
what Italian culture has so rightfully to brag about without the task of burying shame. So yes, yay for Italy.
Yay for Italy.
Yes.
Boom for the
This is
bigots.
why I've asked for others to research possible alternatives that would show off Italian pride without the need for erasure, without the need to sell out their culture to the oppressor, and without glorifying the genocide of the indigenous people who are ancestors to those with roots in Columbus's voyage. Columbus was looking for other ways to make his trip profitable since his plan to land in Asia to trade spices and get rich clearly did not come to fruition. Quote, however, should your highness command it, all the inhabitants could be taken away to Castile, or held as slaves on the island, for which 50 men can subjugate them all and make them do whatever he wished. Columbus wrote that down.
Hey, that's not the whole
Too
part.
many of the
You're only
slaves
taking a
died in
piece of it.
captivity. And so Columbus, desperate to
He
be
called them
dividends
servants of
associated
God. That
has
they would be
to
easily
make
be
good on
servants
his
of
promise
God.
to fill the ships with gold. Our early education on Columbus romanticizes his first voyage and ignores the subsequent returns, which arguably show the level of his greed and cruelty that lead him to lose favor with the crown. From his first voyage, he wrote the following about his encounter with the natives. Quote, "And as soon as I arrived in the Indies on the first island which I found, I took some of the natives by force in order that they might learn and might give me information for whatever there is in these parts. As soon as they see they are safe and have laid aside all fear, they are very simple and honest and exceedingly liberal with all they have, none of them refusing anything he may possess." Please, you gotta listen to fucking keep tabs. You gotta listen to pay attention. You're like making up stories over there. So Columbus says, as soon as they see that they are safe and have laid aside all their fear, they are very simple and honest and exceedingly liberal with all they have. None of them refusing anything he may possess when he asks for it, but on the contrary, inviting us to ask them. They exhibit great love toward all others and preference to themselves. They also give objects of great value for trifles, and content themselves with very little or nothing in return. I did not find, as some of us had expected, any cannibals among them, but on the contrary, men of great deference and kindness. No one would believe it without having seen it. Of anything they have, if you ask for them, they never say no. Rather, they invite you to share anything that they possess and show as much love as if their hearts went with it. End quote. His second voyage was a different experience. On his second visit, most villages stood empty when the Spaniards came ashore.
Bigot, anti-Italian bigot. There she is. There they are.
Just misguided and misread because they're going under the works of sin.
The slave trade immediately turned out to be unprofitable for the slaves. Mostly died. Columbus decided to concentrate on gold, although he wrote, quote, "Let us, in the name of Holy Trinity, go on sending all the slaves that can be sold," end quote. During his second visit, Columbus was losing favor amongst his own men. The Spanish royals sent one of their loyal household officials, Juan Aguado, to investigate Columbus and his brother Diego. Aguado reported back that Columbus was indeed mismanaging the territory, that native people were dying, and so were the colonists. To fill the empty ships going back to Castile, to stop his detractors from talking, and to prove his success, Columbus needed gold. He established a system adopted for this end. He ordered all persons 14 years or older to collect a certain quantity of gold every 3 months. When they brought it, they were given copper tokens to hang around their necks. The natives found without a copper token had their hands cut off and bled to death. Those who tried to flee in the mountains were systematically hunted down with dogs and killed to set an example for the others to keep trying. When the Spaniards took prisoners, they hung them or burned them to death. Among the natives, mass suicides began with cassava poison. Infants were killed to save them from the Spaniards. During those two, Columbus was the governor at the time. Columbus was the governor who was setting policy at the time. If it wasn't Columbus, he put his brother there, right? It was them who were setting policy. During those 2 years of the administration of Brothers Columbus, an estimated 1/2 of the entire population of Hispania, people can speak afterwards. You're welcome to talk afterwards. You should have brought your own.
Nobody had one. May I please?
Depending on how you behave during this part, I'll determine that at the end. When the Spaniards took prisoners, they hung them or burned them to death. I read that part. So infants were killed to save Spain. Did not make the Spanish people richer. It gave their kings an edge in the balance of power for a time, a chance to hire. You lost your chance, by the way. They ended up losing, so for all the gold and silver stolen and shipped to Spain, did not make the Spanish people more richer. It gave their kings an edge in the balance of power for a time, a chance to hire more mercenary soldiers for their wars, and they ended up losing these wars anyway.